Know the playing field. Play accordingly, everyone. All in all, mass evil, if you will, mass emotionless, like greed, all this is happening constantly. The system in which you're in, the products in which we buy are all led by that. By those people. So if you think that I'm gonna feel bad, catch up, kids. Rico Roxx here. Go ahead and subscribe while you're here. Some of my favorite Malcolm X quotes are: "There is no better adversity. Every defeat, every heartbreak, every loss contains its own seed, its own lesson on how to improve for your performance next time. A man who will stand for nothing will fall for anything. Do not be in a hurry to condemn because he does not do what you do or think as you think or as fast. There was a time when you didn't know what you know today." Rest in peace, Malcolm X. Hey everyone, it is your main man Rico Roxx coming at you live. Don't forget to subscribe. Happy Black History Month. I figured I'd come with my own Rico Roxx Black History Month perspective video. I want to do the topic on Malcolm X today. I'm going to do the topic on Malcolm X today. So Malcolm X, I haven't researched him so intensely and deeply, but just like as what more likely people would know would be more likely what I would know, because I'm just like, I went through the school system like everyone else. I went through all kinds of things, similar American boy. But I recently, a couple days ago, I watched an interview with him with somebody, and I don't remember the details. I'll link it if you really would like me to. But it was phenomenal. It was amazing. It was, for perspective, just a study. I'm not picking sides here. So, I'm a theorist, and I want to just quickly bring all this together for you. It's a lot I'm going to cover. So, in this interview, Malcolm X was expressing himself against the white man, and the person interviewing him was a white man. So it was quite socially unacceptable to the days. Most of the stuff he was saying was very, very, but solid though. Very educated man and opinionated, and he did have a bias, obviously a strong bias, where he thought the white man was pretty much evil, right, in a sense. But since evil isn't really a good word to describe it, he was saying they were wicked or deceitful and very, very destructive and corrupt, and should not be trusted under any circumstance. So that was quite a thing to say, to not trust him any under circumstance. Do not trust him. And he would go so far as to say he would not be associating with someone betting on their associates, and he ended up getting killed. And so that's why I want to say rest in peace to Malcolm X. For sure, that courage was amazing for the time, and even to today, because a lot of people don't want to have those talks Malcolm X was having still, because of the fear what happened to him. So I only have so long that I really won't care to spend on this video, so I'm not going to rant all day. But how I want to tie this all together is Malcolm X was a person born on the planet just like us. And anyone listening to this, I would assume, most of you, right? Most of you guys. I feel like some of you guys might not be, but it's okay. It's perfectly good. So Malcolm X was a person, and he started off as a child, grew to childhood, saw the world a certain way, decided it was a certain way, and over time developed strong passion based on his environment and opinions combined and all that, right? So it's like we have a similar thing going on. We were born alive into this planet. He was born the year he was born. I was born the year I was born. You were born in the year you were born. And it goes without saying, he died for his goal. And because even if it wasn't his goal to die, or he knew that was part of the cost. And I think that's a thing. I'm a kind of a poet. What makes life worth living is a question a lot. I feel like is one of the main questions a man or woman or just anything, or maybe any creature can go for before it completely gives up on life and lays itself down, right? So, like, what is a purpose, or what is a destiny? Like, that's just always in a background, analyzing and calculating, kind of just one of my great topics. And I figured, like, I put myself in his shoes, like, what he felt that was strong enough to die for, which is pretty symbolic. And then I look at today's day and age with like depression and suicides and the rest, but still, I'm surprised there's not as many suicides as there is, honestly. I expect there to be, but the way instead of suicide, it goes to like abuse to other people, or just they keep people alive because they're bringing in revenue. But that's a conversation we'll have for another day. So with all the like mental illness and all the stuff going on today, that is to people not satisfied with life, racism still alive, religion wars, just rich versus poor still, and it begs the question, like, there's someone in all these different category time, like, kind of cliques, and I'm sure at least in every clique there's someone who wonders, why are they alive? What is the purpose of all of it? And people, they run their lives, they run it with a lot of passion. I'll give it to them. They with a passion, and it's inspiring. I love a passionate person. Oh my goodness. But I beckon, like, the theory, just for theory's sake, I'm a theorist. What is a person's purpose? Like, what would it be to bring someone or something to do an action which they would end up their demise? Something worth dying for, if you will. And that's when I think that it's like, wow, that's a thing to do, to have that much passion about something. Like, I have heard some people live their whole life and never at that level of passion, willing to die for something. So that's something to look at. But I wanted to also say, like, well, how would someone get to that level? I was thinking, well, how would I, if I found something I was completely passionate about, how can I take it to that level of, I would die for it. I would just go to war, and I would swim through boiling water to get to whatever's on the other side, like, kind of passion. And if I died in row out, oh well, it was like, that is the least of my concerns. That level of passion, folks. And then I started with there's habit build up, so you can start building yourself every time you feel that something's too much, or it's too hard to arrange, or you'd rather take the easy way. Force yourself to do the hard way. That's like the classic. I've been running that for a while. That's an amazing one. Because I was thinking, what would it just, like, these people would be just willing to go out that hardcore for their cause. But then, that's not that rare in itself to people. But I'm talking about a cause that is unique to something that I guess I would like. Because I'm sure, like, gangsters, you got gangsters that banging all day. That's hardcore. Like, that's they each get their respect because they're down to die for their cause. But what is the cause? What is the cause, I would say? So I guess the cause Although the gangster's a little more badass, and I'm not saying I dabble with anything or not. I'm not a side. This is not that video. But we all have our own causes, and I'm more biased to mine. So it's like I was looking at what would it take to get my cause, me, or like just like my cause, like what would it look like? I was kind of even thinking like, because sometimes I do wonder like, what is the purpose of all this? And I was thinking, well, and I'm thinking for myself and some of the masses as well. Like I'm trying to build a formula that I not only for myself that is shareable. So I was thinking, okay, we'd start off as children, and then influence right away when you're young. We're in school, and later on in life, people start running out of reasons to why am I alive, like why, and then that's where we get this like people are sad, the world's in conflict, and people are just dramatic, and then the masses are just granddad and everything like that kind of mentality, right? Like where everyone loses this sorry about that. This exponential. I'm not even gonna use the word. I don't know what it means right now. Everyone gets this dread to them, and a man wonders, well, what is the root and what is the cause? Like, what's the effects? All this, and then looking at Malcolm X, saying like he's willing to die for that, and I'm like, what would like from a person not being able to have any hope to like even get out of bed, to someone being willing to die, like another person willing to educate themselves and go to war against the system itself and they were using very scary tactics, folks. Like, where's the divide there? And I have both within me. I understand. Like, I play with both cycles. I'm not a coward. I will play with the power, and I will play with the weak. I will play with everything. I will play with nothing. And sometimes when you dabble too deep or either side, you may not come back. But tis the name of the game. So Malcolm X, definitely watching that interview with him, it would have shook any man to his core, and it was making me think. So in my life and in lives around me, I would say, what do we have to live for? What do you have to live for? It's a good question. I was thinking, what if it wasn't good enough? Because I'm following down rabbit holes now. What if it wasn't good enough? And that person says, well, I don't want to live for opposite sex. I don't want to live for pleasure. Okay. Money, nope. Like no matter what, just doesn't satisfy me. Okay. A mate, nope. I don't want intimacy. Like, what if someone just goes on list by list of every day, try so many of life, learn an instrument, learn multiple languages, go to every like they try so much, and they still truly to the pit of them cannot stomach reality. They just do not see the point of even the effort. And that had me beckoning. What would it take for them to see that there was more than not at least that to that maybe it would be attainable to gain that level of passion for something, because they maybe at this point have just said, I've tried everything and I just don't see me ever seeing anything, because I've looked at the universe, I've looked at God, and none of this earth matters to me or makes any sense, and I give no shits or two craps about this or care about to know anything about it. So, well, what would it take though to say, hey man, I know you don't really care to prove anything, like do anything or whatever. So what can you tell that person? How could you at least even start to even consider empathizing against that, like with them or against them, or calculating it or problem solving with them, or like anything more than just like well then see you not too soon then, because that person can not go through that for that much longer and still be sane. So this is a problem. What I came up with is things that were not like, I think it's like a spark from within. And how you do that is by finding what makes like what you're good at. And now that's always, people always say that, like find what you're good at, and then or work. If you love your job, it's never quit. Nothing like that. It means nothing like that. I'm talking about to the core, to your human, when you're alone and the way there's something about you. And you know what it is. I don't know what it is. You know what it is. It's something you do, or something you're just really hyper keen at that someone else isn't. And you might not be the most keen in the world, but you're very much more than average at it. than other people around you. The more they come, like, and you notice it because it's so unusual. Mine, for instance, is how analytical I am. At first, I thought, okay, there's many analytical people in the world, but it now shows me to the point where the way I conversate with people, to the rate of people that receive me the same way I would receive myself, in a sense, very rare. And like, and sometimes even if I don't, not even with me, I'll just watch the way other people interact. I hardly see people interact with the environments and what else I do. So I realized that, like, that is my strength, my analyticalness. Instead of hating myself for it or saying like, oh, I can't, like, I just think too much, I never looked at it back. I started honing it. It's analytical, man. And it's like, so let's say if I didn't have the most athletics, let's say for if I didn't have the athleticism, or if I didn't have something, and I would just think, oh no, or like if I was just not successful financially, if I was just a 40-year-old, 35-year-old guy and I just had no money, like, and I'm just thinking, oh man, this world is better off without me. Why should I fucking care? Why do I wake up? You're not noticing the one thing you're good at that no one else is, and I would take a little more pride in that, and then hone it and do something with it. Because mine was the thinking, but let's say there's multiple things that can go there, like double jointed people, for instance, or that's something unusual. Just like your unusual trait, the rarity within you. If you, like, that sets you apart, that your friends are like, within everybody in your friend group, it's like, man, some people could travel, but no one is quite as adept as you naturally. And I would say that right there is what you should look for in hunting, even if it's the most simplest things. Because yes, like, mine wasn't something too crazy major, like, oh, I can punch, like, have big old whatever. My thing was just like, man, I do think a lot, and I was like, you know what? I've learned how to use my thinking to do so much for myself that I can transfer that. So I made it from nothing. I'm going to build my empire from the as they say, in got it out the mud. Thank you guys. Happy pay attention. It's Black History Month. Learn about the man at the very front lines, I would say, because there's so many different kind of messages and things you can get out of it. I don't really get caught up in a whole lot because I think there's a lot of whatever. There's just like so many races in the world. But Malcolm X was amazing, man. Like, that guy, I would love to have a conversation with him. Take care. Rico Roxx. Subscribe. Any questions, any comments, anything, leave it down there. Thank you. This is Rico Roxx from Hyper Theorist Methodologies.